நீங்களே ஆரம்பிச்சிடுறீங்களா? ஒன்று சாய் காயத்ரி சொல்லிட்டு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணுறேன்.
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। Om Shri Sai Ram. A warm welcome to all of you on this August evening where we've all gathered to hear the nectarine Bhagavatam of Swami in this series of Govind Satsangh, which has been going on uninterrupted for almost 2 years now on each Sunday on behalf of Sai Geetam family in Singapore. It's a great privilege for me and for all of us to welcome Siddarth Bhat brother. We are really fortunate to have him here today because Swami speaks through him so wonderfully as ever. And he's a wonderful instrument of Swami because he has been instrumental in conducting almost 116 episodes, online and offline episodes of Samarpan series at Dharmakshetra. And he has been anchoring this program so wonderfully well, getting the full grasp of the subject. And also at the end, he summarizes in a way that you need not even go through the entire series, but just that excerpts, that's good enough because that is a saransh. So a small introduction about Siddarth ji. Siddarth, born in a Sai family as a fourth generation Sai devotee, and the family has been in Sai's fold since 1966, that is the entire family, for 50 years under Swami's fold. He completed Balvikas up to Group 2 in Mumbai, and he studied at Bhagawan's Lotus feet for 7 years from the period 1995-2002. 2 years at Swami's school at Prasanthi Nilayam, 3 years of BCom honors at Brindavan, and finally 2 years management course at Prasanthi Nilayam. He played Tabla during Prasanthi Mandir Bhajans and was blessed to speak in the Kulwant Hall in the Divine Presence on few occasions. As I told you earlier, he has been a very active member of the Mumbai Samarpan team at Dharmakshetra, and he has been anchoring a lot of study circles for youth and devotees in Mumbai Samithis. If I am not mistaken, he belongs to Borivali Samiti in Mumbai. Currently, he is working in Tata Sons, the Tata Group holding company, in a very senior position, and looking after strategy related assignments for Tata companies with more than 20 years experience in the corporate world. Warm welcome to Siddarth ji. I will not stand between you and all of us in listening to nectarine words through you. Jai Sai Ram.
Offering my loving and prayerful salutations to our beloved Bhagawan. Let's together offer a heartfelt gratitude to him to hear his stories, which he has blessed. And here I'm just a mouthpiece, as Uncle very aptly said, that we are just his puppets and it is he who gets it done through us. So let's offer our gratitude to him, because there is no better day than today, a Mother's Day, to remember the Saima and his glory for all of us. So offering my humble salutations once again at Bhagawan's lotus feet, a loving Sairams and a wonderful, blissful and blessed evening to each one of you. I hope I am audible enough and visible enough. So before we begin the divine nectar, I also offer gratitude to all the organizers for giving this opportunity to, come here and virtually come here and share whatever Bhagawan has blessed us with. And it's always a very, very enjoyable time thinking about him and listening to his glories. And before you people listen, it is I who will be listening because my ears are closest to the mouth. So I have that more bigger privilege to think about him and listen his glory on this auspicious evening. Well, we are also meeting at a time when a lot of good things are happening around us. On 3rd of this month, today is what, 8th? Okay, 3rd of this month, we celebrated Eid ul Fitr, a very, very holy day for the Islam religion that we have. Islam, by the way, is a very, very nectarine religion. And Swami used to give us a lot of importance to Islam followers also in Prasanthi Nilayam. So 3rd May, we celebrated Eid ul Fitr, the culmination of Ramadan month. And then we had 6th of May, which the entire Sai family celebrated the Ishwarama Day. And it's a great occasion to again remember Mother Ishwarama. So a lot of relation to the Mother's Day that we have today. The world celebrates Mother's Day today, but I think Sai family has been celebrating Mother's Day since last 3 days. So that is where we are. And 4 days from today, on 12th of May, I think those people who are in Mumbai will connect to this, that we have Dharmakshetra Anniversary. 1968-69, Bhagawan inaugurated Dharmakshetra, his abode in Mumbai. And it is 12th of May when we celebrate the anniversary. So we are in the midst of a lot of good things, a lot of auspicious moments. We are there. And Bhagawan is to say always that these festivals are always an opportunity to think about divine. So there is no better time than this to think about him and his glory. And being Mother's Day, in fact, a lot of us look at Bhagawan as Guru. Some of us may even look at, I think a lot of students, if you know, generally used to call Swami as Saima or, Swami or Mother Sai, the different names given to same Bhagawan. And Guru has one of the important aspect of Vatsalya. I think all of us will know that, Guru, once he has his disciples around, he also acts like a mother to those disciples. And that's why that Vatsalya is very, very high. And we have seen many times, Bhagavan's, I can, vividly remember several moments when we as students used to sit in front of him, right in front of the Mahasamadhi today. And Swami in those days where he used to give discourse, he used to also sit on a chair there. And then we used to sit right in front of him. And any person outside those white students, anybody who approaches that enclosure also, we used to see the change of face of Swami. And he used to as if own these students, and he used to just make a face and say, who is that person? And he should not be around any of the students who are sitting there. That kind of protection or that kind of Vatsalya is what we have seen from Swami. I don't know how many of you observed, but we have observed many, many times. He used to literally own his property and say nobody should be around. Just the way we protect our property, we're ring fencing around it. But that is the Guru's Vatsalya, and that's why Mother's Day and Mother Sai, Sai Ma, there are a lot of correlations to this auspicious evening that we have got. So today's session, what we will do is, I'll try to make it as informal because no corporate presentation will connect to Bhagawan. It's always an informal chat, which is the best way to connect heart to heart with him. So there are some episodes which are very special personally to me. And I would like to share those and what key learnings that we had from those. And that will be a good opportunity to even think about Bhagavan's message, which we can carry today home. So now again, going back to mother as a concept. See, mother is a mother because she has given a birth to the child. right? Now, birth as a whole is a very, very, very important auspicious moment in the creation. Because all of us know that Bhagavan, when he used to manifest the Hiranyagarbha Linga from him, in his own body, he used to say that's the most auspicious moment. So birth per se, a mother which gives birth to a child is a very auspicious moment. And I recollect couple of birthdays, my birthdays, this body's birthday, when those moments when Bhagavan entered my life in a very, very interesting manner. So, in fact, my journey to Swami began at a very early stage. And as Uncle introduced, I'm the 4th generation devotee. So already great-grandparents came, then grandparents came, then parents came, and now I got the opportunity or the rare blessing to be born in a Sai family. So right from the childhood, by birth itself, there were Swami's photographs around, and bhajans are being sung every Thursday at home since last many decades. So that's an environment which I was born with. And first time ever, my first memory goes about Swami's darshan was somewhere age of 3. When I first time came to Prasanthi Nilayam, I would have come earlier, but I don't recollect. But age of 3 is something which I very clearly recollect when I first time came to Prasanthi Nilayam. And incidentally, if you ask me who is Sai Baba as God, Swami, Satya Sai Baba, I didn't know anything about him. Because probably my age was not enough to grasp his glory and, as God. But there was something more attractive to me in Prasanthi Nilayam in those days. And that was Sands. So Sands was a time, it is way before, early 80s, or I think late 70s. That was a time when, Sands were there in Prasanthi Nilayam. And the biggest attraction was you go and play in the Sands while everybody is busy seeing Swami. So once Swami comes out, everybody is, running behind Swami, and the entire sand is free for me to play around. That was the biggest attraction to me. And after the sand game is over, there was an ice cream waiting for me there. Go and pick up an ice cream and enjoy. So that is a kind of introduction to Bhagavan, which Swami obviously would have seen me as a child, but I never knew who Swami was. So that kind of background which I came across. And, Bhagavan is so beautiful because he enters people's life at the right time. So I think somewhere in 6th standard is when I joined Balvikas. And 7th standard, December, during a birthday time, my birthday time, we had a Balvikas trip to Parthi. And that's why I'm saying birth, why the importance of Mother Sai and birth is the birthdays. Bhagavan in my life at least has chosen the birthdays to enter into my life and make those important lessons and impressions in my heart. So it was somewhere in December when I was in my 7th standard. So it must be 88, 89 probably. Or maybe 90. I don't remember the year, but definitely it was December. And I'd come with a Balvikas group, and we had a separate enclosure in those days. So there was a boys enclosure for Balvikas, and there's a girls enclosure for Balvikas, children on the ladies side. And first time ever, it's like now actually I was alone because I came with my Balvikas guru and students. There were no parents with me. And my Balvikas guru told me, sit with a tray. So because your birthday is there today, you sit with a tray, Swami will come and bless you. So I didn't know what that blessing was. So Swami will come and bless. That's all I knew. What that blessing, I didn't know. So the tray also was organized by my Balvikas guru. Everything she did. And she made me go and sit there. Once Swami came for darshan, Swami came around, looked at me, took the chocolates and threw into the crowd. Okay, that was the first time ever I saw him so close, because obviously as a birthday boy, you are sitting in the first line. And first time I was seeing him face to face. He looked at me, and in those days, Swami with a big halo of hair and quite healthy in terms of his build. So he came so close and he looked at me through the chocolates. He smiled, and I was just absorbing that moment. And then suddenly Swami popped up a question: where did you come from? The most famous question. I think a lot of us probably would have heard hundreds of times about it, but little do we know what importance it is. Because those days also at the age of must be 10, 11, I didn't know what to answer. I just said Bombay. Okay, Mumbai was not known then, so I just said Bombay. And then a very strange question came up. He said, where is your wife? Now you can imagine I'm in a 7th standard sitting with my birthday tray, and he says, where is your wife? And as innocently I could say, Swami, I don't have any wife. So he smiled at me. He said, next time when you come, get your wife also. And I said, okay, Swami, I'll get my wife next time. And then he said, take Pad Namaskar. And I took Pad Namaskar and Swami went away. After this entire event, so a lot of people saw there was some conversation between me and Swami. So everybody, after darshan, all the boys came running and said, what happened? What did Swami say? I said, this is what he said. And everybody had a hearty laugh. Something Swami made, Swami pulled my leg types. And after the session was over, obviously, when we got out of, after the bhajans, we got back to our shed and my Balvikas Guru called me and said, what did Swami say? I said, this is what exactly Swami said, that where is your wife? I don't know why he asked that question, but I'm sure Swami knows that I'm still small. So she also laughed and she said, see, there is an important message. Wife means attachment. And at your age, your parents are our attachment. And you have come without your parents, right? You came with the Balvikas group, children and Balvikas gurus. There's no parents around. So that's why Swami is saying, when you come next time, get your wife also, means get your attachment also, means you get your parents also. So that is something which I understood. I said, interesting. I didn't know this interpretation at all. But, and just to give a couple of words to my Balvikas Guru, in fact, a lot of Balvikas Gurus I can see on the session. And in fact, today being Mother's Day, a special pranams to all the Balvikas Gurus who are actually mothers themselves in different form in our lives. And the Balvikas Guru whom I am referring to, my own Balvikas Guru, was an exceptional human being. Not just as a Balvikas Guru, she was truly a Guru because she always inspired me to move towards Bhagawan. And she always said, you always think about Swami, always, read books about, constantly she was pushing. And a Guru is one who obviously shows God. So she actually epitomizes the real Guru in that sense, who always motivated me and sowed the seeds of, coming closer to Bhagawan. And that's why she said, next time when you come, you get a parent. That is what Bhagawan said. So keep that in mind. I said, okay. And the entire trip went very beautifully. The trip ended. I came back to Mumbai. And the entire year went past by. I'd forgotten about it. Came next year again, when I was in my 8th standard. That was a time, again, incidentally. There was no planned, event like that. But incidentally, I happened to be back in Prasanthi Nilayam on my birthday. Exactly a year later. And this time there was no Balvikas group or anything. It was with my parents. And it didn't struck me at all. It was as if my memory had completely gone. On that day morning, I just said, this is exactly the day. Last year also I was in Parthi, and this is what Bhagawan said. So it came as a fresh from my memory as if on that morning. So I requested the authorities, because I was not a student then. I was not a VIP. I was nothing practically. Just a regular devotee came for darshan. So I requested the authorities, can you, give me a chit or somewhere, somewhere I can sit with a tray. But last year it was easy because I came with a Balvikas group. I had an enclosure and I didn't have to ask anybody. The enclosure was given to us. So they said, okay, one darshan we can give you. In the morning, you take this chit, you go and sit. I said, okay. I sat with a tray as it was directed last year also, the way my Balvikas Guru did. Bhagawan came for darshan and went by. He didn't look at me. He didn't even move towards where I was. He just went by. And for a fraction of a moment, it just hit me that, how was my last year and how it is this year? Nothing from Swami whatsoever on my birthday. So my heart sank at that moment. And I was praying hard. I said, Swami, please, at least. But Swami had moved so swiftly ahead that the darshan got ended. After that, I prayed that after the interview, sometimes Swami comes out, on the gents side, near the garage side, the garage side, I think most of the gents will remember that area. That is where I was sitting. So I thought maybe after darshan, after the interview, we may come, but nothing happened. The bhajans, everything got over, and the morning darshan was over. Bhajans also was over. So I was completely down and out with the high expectations of last year, the way it was. I went back to the authorities and requested them that, can you give me one more chit? They said, no, we give only for one session. Your session is over. So whatever, take it as Swami's will. Swami does not want to, there must be something else. Swami must be planning for you. But I, as a small child, then I was in my 8th standard. So I kept crying and I said, no, at least one more darshan. Tomorrow I will not come. Today still is my birthday. Evening is still my birthday. You give me. So finally, probably they felt pity and they gave me the chit. I took the chit and sat for darshan. Again, repeat performance of Swami. In the morning, the way he was, same time he comes like this, he goes away. As he takes few steps, my heart pounded. It was like beaming from a core of my heart to him that, Swami, this is not right. Last year you blessed me. This year and I, imagine the prayers, because I remember these words that came from my heart, and the prayers were, Swami, I'm a small child. People say you are 1,000 mothers. Can't you come and bless your child? Again, Mother's Day. So heart was pounding so much, and as I'm speaking, I'm getting goosebumps now. So I was pounding so much. You will not believe, after few moments, Swami stopped. He stopped in his darshan, round which he was taking. He took an about turn. He looked at me, came straight to me. Whatever he normally does, took the chocolates, threw it around, told me, take Pad Namaskar, gave me a smile. And many times all of you would be aware, Swami speaks through eyes. So the way he looked at me, he said, you called, so I came. And nicely blessed me, looked at, and very beautiful smile he gave. And then he walked away. No interactions, but that was enough for a small child of 8th standard, of 12 years of age, which gave me that feeling that this God does hear my prayers. See, there are many mind readers in the world. But heart reader is only one. For a mind reader, you need him to be face to face with him, so that he is able to connect with your mind. A heart reader can be anywhere in the world, but he can connect with you, and that can be only God. So that was the first, you can say, the entry. A strong conviction started growing in my heart that this God listens. See, I was born in a Sai family, so there was no question of whether Sai Baba is God or not. It was given, that's a base. Swami is God, full stop. But Swami as God is my first experience was this. When I could pray and he could listen, he could come back and did what he did. And that became an etched in my memory. And that's why I said, mother is mother, because when she gives a birth to a child, that birth day is extremely important. And that's why the same Sai Ma actually took birth in my heart in that moment. I said, no, this person listens to me. I can pray to him. My voice reaches him. There is a connectivity. The line which has no challenges in terms of network disruption or a Wi-Fi issue or whatsoever, it just connects. So, I'm adding the phrase today because those days there was no Wi-Fi. But I could get that clear understanding that yes, Bhagawan listens. That was in my 8th standard. So little by little, Bhagawan was entering my life with a lot of smaller but very deep experiences of this kind, which was giving a long, deep impression in my heart. As time progresses, I'll just fast forward because there are lots to share, but time is short. I don't know how much time I have, maybe till 6:15, 6:30. I don't know how much time I have got, but
6:30 you can go ahead. No problem. Absolutely no problem.
Okay. So, but you will
6:30
have
today, brother.
Yeah.
6:30 today, and we have several weeks ahead of us when you can go on.
Oh my God. No, but 6:30. So somewhere 6, I'll keep that in mind. So we'll fast forward a bit. But some of the very important episodes is what I will try to narrate today. So as time progressed, a time came when I had to join Bhagawan's college. And there was a lot of, by the time 8th standard at birthday event happened, and there was a lot of eagerness to join Swami's institute. And a time came when I entered Bhagawan's school. The entry into the school also was a great miracle because, if I narrate that, it'll be at least 1 hour. So I'll skip that maybe some other time. But post entry on the school, I was in my 11th standard, in 1995 when I joined. And one evening, Swami came out with a large, a basket, huge, at least 2 or 3 boys were carrying on 3 different sides. And Swami came out with a large basket. What do I see were the camera rolls. This was my first, almost you can say, first 3-4 months of in my 11th standard. So very, very still new to as a student of Swami. And he came out with that large basket, and I could see, Swami was asking everybody, who has camera, who has camera. And incidentally, I was carrying the camera. So immediately we raised, all of us who had the camera, we raised hands. So I also raised hand. I said, Swami, I've got camera. What he did, he started, like laddus, all of us have seen, he started throwing the camera rolls. So those days there was no digital camera or whatsoever. We had a 36 film, camera. So the roll. So he started throwing the rolls one by one, and apparently I got missed. So the camera roll didn't come to me. Everybody else got it. So there's one very senior faculty member sitting behind. He said, Are you missed it? Do one thing. Swami will now go to the veranda. You go from behind and sit there, and you will get there. So I ran, and as I was following Swami was going to the veranda. From behind, I went to the veranda. And again, same question he asked, who has camera? And again, I raised the hand. Everybody got, I didn't get. Okay. Another senior gentleman said that, now Swami will go to Bhajan Hall. You go to the Bhajan Hall from backside door. So I ran behind and sat there. Again, Swami came and said, Bhajan Hall, who has camera? Everybody raised. I also raised. Everybody got. I did not get. And Swami went to the interview room and the chapter closed. I came back and sat in my place, my original place, from where I started running and following Swami. And I said, this is not done. Same Sai, used to listen to my prayer. What happened? He doesn't want to give the camera to me, the role to me, and why it would have happened. Now, see, today at this age, if you ask me camera role, these are not things to be asked from a divine, avatar. There are much bigger things to be asked. But at the age of 10, 12, 15, small things are very attractive when it comes from Swami's hands. So this event happened, and then the senior person who first told me to run around, he asked me, you got finally? I said, no, I did not get any. I ran to the Bhajan hall also, still I didn't get. So finally he said, don't worry, Swami must be having some other plans for you. So take it as Bhagawan's blessings and all. I said, okay. I mean, I was not happy, but I kept quiet. And then I wrote a long letter to Bhagawan saying that, this is what happened. And the other day you heard my prayers. Now you don't want to hear my prayers. What's wrong? What went wrong? Or why you don't want to give? These are all, when you listen also today, you feel that these are too small things to be asked. But at that age, these are the small aspects are very special to, in that age. So I wrote a letter, and that was my first communication to him. And the 11th standard came to a end. Exams got over. I came back to Mumbai for vacation, and I joined back on my 12th standard, and I had forgotten again about it. I'll tell you the date also. 12th standard, we started our school on 1st of June. This is 1996. And 7th of June, 96, Swami came from Brindavan to Parthi. So after the Brindavan, generally beginning of the academic year, Swami returns back to the Prasanthi Nilayam. 9th of June, he said, I want all the students to come to Purnachandra. So many times, closed door, Swami used to call the entire campus in Purnachandra, and somewhere in the afternoon, like 1:32, before the afternoon darshan for devotees. So that was a 2-hour time, the window where he used to call all the boys, talk to him, talk to them, and whatever, have snacks also. Many times we used to have snacks with Swami in that session. So 9th of June was the date when he called. And as Swami gave discourse and everything got over, Swami went inside and came back again with a similar basket. So the 3-4 boys were carrying the basket, and he brought it out, and he started asking the same question, who has camera? Now this is almost 8-10 months later. Okay, who has camera? So, and this time I had forgotten my camera. I had gone for my vacation in Bombay, and I left it in Mumbai and then came back. So I didn't have the camera this time. And diligently, I said, no, I don't have camera. I can't raise my hand. So I kept my hand down. And process was simple. Everybody got the camera, and the boys went. The basket was complete. The boys went. All of us said, I didn't have any expectations whatsoever because I didn't have the camera. As I was sitting and listening, watching Bhagawan, Swami was moving up and down like this in front of the first row. Okay, and typically it's difficult to show on the video, but his hands were behind, and he was walking like this up and down, 3-4 rounds it took. I was somewhere on 18th or 19th line, almost second or third last line, that behind. So I could see Swami moving, and out of the blue, in maybe in 2 rounds or so, he brought his hand ahead and started tossing a camera roll. He was tossing the camera roll like a ball in his hand. Now the boys had gone. Nobody knew from where that camera roll came, but it was there in his hand, and he was tossing. So obviously everybody's eyes lit up now. Who will get this? And as he was doing this, he just looked on his right side, and he just threw. He just threw like that. It came straight and fell on my lap. So, everybody looked who got this. And see, Swami, when he aims anything, it is absolutely bang on. We have to look and see where I have to throw. And then it has to, sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't go. But here, Swami just threw like this. It straight away came. I was just sitting because I didn't have camera or anything. So I can't be waiting for it. It just came and fell on my lap. And the moment it fell on my lap, and everybody looked, and from who got this. So I was like, for a few moments, I was dumbstruck because I didn't know what to say, what to respond, how to respond. And it was completely by surprise. And I still have that camera roll apparently with me, and because it's a very prized possession. And after that, as it fell, I collected and I looked at Bhagawan. He was straight looking at me, and the way very mischievous Swami knows that the same Mother Sai at times is also the same Krishna. You have to be very careful about how he changes his forms in different times just to drive home the lesson. So it's a very mischievous smile he gave. And again, he speaks through eyes. So he very clearly, that message was that time I didn't give you, I'm giving you this time. And this time I didn't have the camera at all. So actually I'm not eligible, but I got missed out, and here he immediately gave it back. So after all that event had happened, I sat with myself. I said, what did Bhagawan teach us? And one very important lesson. See, why I'm narrating today, had that day, I would have raised my hand, got a camera roll, nothing would have happened. It's like a normal event, right? It's not something which will be cherished in your mind forever, in your memories. But why this became an important event was when he threw that camera roll, after 10, 12 months, few things came to my mind as a lesson. And that's why many times, when we narrate experiences, it's important to take a pause and ruminate about what Swami is teaching us. And these are life lessons, because he's a life teacher, he's a life coach, life teacher, he's a Jagat Guru. He's not somebody who is just a normal person, kind of doing by chance something. Everything has a purpose. Okay, and as I'm saying about as a Jagat Guru, I think we also are just 2 days back, we had Adi Shankaracharya's birth anniversary as well. So again, it's an auspicious time. But coming back to this episode, one important lesson is, patience is bitter. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. So many times, we go through study circles, we go through Samarpan sessions and Parayanams and all those. And these are standard questions, we keep receiving that, why does Swami doesn't answer my prayers? Actually, Swami answers all our prayers. It's only thing is at what time he answers is important. Sometimes when he keeps mum, there is an answer in there also. He wants us to wait, which is exactly happened here. I was asking him, and there were almost 8-10 months had passed. I had forgotten about it, but he didn't forget. So when we pray to Bhagawan, we forget, but he doesn't forget. He has his own sweet time, because he knows what is past, present, future. He knows what needs to be taught to whom, and he uses every episode in our life to teach those lessons. So patience is something which was a lesson which was being taught to me in that event, that if you are patient with God, he can do wonders in our life, wonders. And see, whether we are deserving or not, I didn't have a camera roll in that camera. I didn't have the camera per se in this event in the second instance. But if he thinks that he is a deserving candidate, he will give. If he doesn't give us, probably we need to wait more. We have to earn that deservedness. Okay, and he doesn't forget any of the prayers. So patience is better, but fruit is sweet. And he chooses the right time at the right moment to bless us. So this is something which I carried home after this episode, and I said something which we can share. And again, patience is a quality which mother epitomizes, right? Only a mother who has tremendous patience, for his children. Mother by nature has that patience inbuilt quality. Otherwise, no person can be just a mother just like that. So patience is one of the important qualities Bhagawan was teaching. And today being Mother's Day, again, I bring that point, that patience is a very, very important quality which a mother epitomizes. All of us do a lot of mistakes in our life, but is a mother who is very patient and at the right time teaches us what needs to be done. So that's one quality which even purity, patience, perseverance, as Bhagavan says, 3 P's of life. That was something which was being taught, or rather fitted into my head at that age of 15 or 16 when I was going through the episode. Then came, this was 9th of June, okay, 1996. Then came an announcement in the same year, in the same month, in fact, June 1996. Announcement came from Bhagawan. It was a public announcement in Kulwant Hall that I will be giving discourses every day. And that's again a rare episode. I think most of you who would have come to Perth in 90s, late 90s, you know this. 1996 was a rare year when Swami decided to give discourse every day. He didn't wait for the occasion to come. He said, I'll announce, I will speak every day. And he passed on the message to teachers that before my talk, I would like to have one school student and one university student speaking before me in Kulwant Hall. And that was a time when these kind of, so announcement obviously happened. and then message came to us that who all are interested in speaking in Kulwant Hall. So I think the invite which got circulated, along for today's program, we have that photograph. So that photograph was 1996, July precisely. So this announcement was made. I gave my name to the entire, the teacher community who there was a panel who obviously was sitting to collect the names. I gave my name. Again, there's a long story behind it, but I'll cut it short. So initially they were hesitant because today, if I'm able to speak in front of you, if I'm able to narrate in front of you, is because of that episode. So prior to 1996, if you tell me, can you speak for a few minutes on any topic, I would be the one who will run away, because speaking is not my capacity or capability anywhere. Okay, it was he who was trying to fit those accessories in the car in the garage, because of which today that accessory is working. So that was an event when the announcement happened. I gave my name. And the previous year in 11th standard also, I had given I had participated in a pick and speak competition, and that went horribly wrong. So my teacher said that, if in school you can't speak, how can you speak in Kulwant Hall? There's no way that you can be there. But one good thing about Parthi teachers is they're patient again. Just taking the quality from Bhagawan, they're very patient. They said you practice. Your performance has not been great, but you practice. And we will see at the right occasion when the Swami's will is there, we will, you will get a chance to speak. And I was a novice as a speaker. So I just put all the, different Swami's different discourses I picked up. I copy pasted and created a speech out of it. There was nothing original of mine. It was Swami's speech in different forms, picked up few experiences from different people, copy pasted and made a speech, and eventually mugged it. Because I had no capacity to speak. I had just mugged it as it is. And what lot of people who saw me in my previous year, they said, Kisi, your first time speaking in a crowd like this, practice in front of a mirror. Okay, practice in front of a mirror. You will know how you look and how your expressions are. So I started doing that. You'll not believe, at least 25 days on a trot, 4 times a day I used to speak. So almost 100 sessions, practice sessions I had to arrive at some level of, reaching to Kulwant Hall stage. After that, I started getting bored of my own talk. So I went to my teachers. I said, I've practiced this much. If you want, I'll stand in front of you and it's a mugged speech. I can vomit as it is the way you want. Then you decide whether I should go or not. So they said, okay, you come tomorrow, we will see. So they took a couple of days time. And a lot of students who came after me were getting the first chance to go and speak. So I was feeling a little bad also that I'm lagging behind. Finally, on Wednesday said, coming Saturday, you will speak in Kulwant Hall. So one of the teachers said, see, now first time ever you will speak. And this is the first ever speech in my life. Okay, directly in Kulwant Hall. So first time you're going to speak and Bhagawan is going to be there. You write a letter to him, telling him that, this is what is going to be there. And please bless me and all that. So I wrote a letter. And despite all preparation, many times what happens, you're not sure of it. So previous evening, Saturday was my talk. I'm giving you a little background story because then you will appreciate that why this event was such a critical event, which Bhagawan changed the life forever. So Saturday evening was a speech. Friday evening after the bhajan session, we were coming back to hostel. And one of our senior brothers told me while walking towards the hostel, he said, see, tomorrow is your chance and you have never spoken in your life. So how ready are you? So I said, I'm doing my best to be ready. So he said, I'll suggest you one thing which worked for me. So think about it. And maybe this is a lesson for all of us, okay, on the call. He said, see, when you're speaking on a stage in Kulwant Hall, entire world is in front of you. There is nobody else. You're facing the world. But there's one person who is sitting next to you. And that is God. That is Swami. So when you're facing the world, God is right next to you. When you look at him, your energies will come. You're not alone on the stage of life. God is always with you. So whenever we face any trouble, any challenges, any difficulties, God is always next to you. Okay, world is in front of you. If you focus on the world, you will lose because there will be trepidation, there will be apprehensions, there will be tensions, there will be all kinds of questions whether I will do or not. But the moment you say, there he is right next to me. And as you know, that Krishna story, in Mahabharata, which he says that if Sanatana Sarthi is riding a chariot, there is no way that you can lose. So he explained me this event. He said, just think about it and see if it works for you. And he went. That was the Friday evening. I came back to my room in the hostel. I sat and I contemplated on this entire piece. I said that absolutely it makes sense. It's not philosophy, it's practical life, right? In front of me, just visualize the Kulwant Hall. I'm standing on the stage. Entire crowd is there. Ladies are there, gents are there, students are there, VIPs, doctors, everybody is there. All facets of the world is there. But God is right next to me. He's the only one who is also facing like me. It's not that he's just sitting in the crowd. He's facing like me to the world. So when God plus man are standing on the stage, facing the world, there has to be a victory at any cost. That conviction grew that night, and that really, really turned the tables for me. I said, I'm not alone. I have somebody with me who is also facing the world like me, and I'll take his refuge. So with this, thought process, I went to sleep. Saturday morning, I woke up. Some youngsters, if they are there on the call, you can make out it's like a night before a World Cup final. That kind of goosebumps, butterflies, all things happen to you because mind is still fickle, right? The conviction is there, but mind is fickle. So you don't get a great sleep, but anyway, you manage to sleep for some time. Next morning, you get up. Saturday morning. Morning session goes very well in the school. It's a working day. Lunchtime, an unusual thing happens. Our principal of the school, he doesn't stay in the hostel, but he comes searching for me in the hostel in the lunchtime. And finally, he traces me in the room and he says, I want to talk to you. So we come. So he takes me to the warden's office. He says, see, today you're going to speak. I said, yes, sir. Today, CBSE chairman has come. Central Board of Secondary Education. Okay, that's one of the, CBSE is one of the boards of education in school in India. So some of you are joining from abroad will be able to relate to it. So CBSE and Parthi school is a CBSE affiliated school. So CBSE chairman has come to evaluate our school. Till now, we have done very well. He has given us upfront feedback that everything is wonderful in the school. And then we invited him in the Mandir to tell him how our boys speak. So your speech is part of CBSE chairman's evaluation about our school. If you do well, we are through. If you don't do well, all the hard work that we have done can go down. He said this and went away. Now you imagine the first time somebody is going to speak in Kulwant Hall, going through a lot of practice, a lot of motivation from different people, trying to ruminate at how I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. And then this bombshell comes just 3 hours before the talk. And he goes away. So I don't know. In that particular moment, I just sat and I said, Swami, I don't know what to do. Whatever best I could do, I've done. Now it's up to you. Okay. Afternoon session goes through the school. We come back, freshen up, go to Mandir. 3:30 is the time normally. 4 o'clock Swami is to come out. And 3:30, 3:45, we reach in Mandir after the school. And obviously, if you're a speaker for the day, you are right there in the front. So, and how the I'll just show you in terms of just visualize yourself how the stage is. Right where Mahasamadhi is today is where Swami is to sit and stand and give discourse. So he's sitting right there. On the right side, gents side, a lot of currently chairs are kept and VIPs are sitting. Those days there was an extended platform and the speakers for the day were sitting there. So I got a chance to sit right there. Swami came around 4 o'clock. And those days there were music. There was no bhajans or there was no Veda chanting and all. This is 1996. So Swami came and a music started, which was my favorite music. And among so many bhajan, so many darshan music, this was one of my favorite. And some of you may know it's a Namaskar is the name of the album, which was played then. And it's some, these are the small episodes which you start feeling confident about it. So moment my favorite music came and Bhagawan took a nice round, came and sat on the stage. And as the names were announced, today's speakers are, so-and-so from university, Siddarth Bhat from Satyasai Higher Secondary School. Moment that name was announced, Swami, as he was sitting in his chair, he just moved a little ahead and took a right turn and straight looked at me. Straight. And as he looked at me, he gave such a beautiful episodes where he gave us such a beautiful smile of recognition. Oh, you have come. I mean, that was a recognition smile. And moment he smiled at me, obviously I smiled at him. And then he continued. After the speech, the first speaker was done, my chance came in. I went ahead with a rose. And one thing which we were taught in the school always, and Swami also used to tell us this, is always have a smiling face. Don't have castral faces. These are Swami's words in English. Don't have castral faces. Always have smiling face. So we had said that, whenever you meet Bhagawan, we should have a smiling face. We can't be morose and feeling, oh my God, why this life is given to me. Not kind of that. So even today, physical form is not there, but we have Bhagawan's chair or photograph, or, it stays same. Bhagawan is looking through these means to us. So I consciously remembered, I said, let me go with a smile. I'm telling you, God responds the way you are. So I went with a smile and a rose in my hand, and he just looked at me, such a bewitching smile. I mean, in a flash, all the tensions disappeared, just evaporated like anything. So he just looked at me and he smiled. He took the rose. So he said, take Pad Namaskar. And then he asked me, what is the topic? So apparently, as I told you, it was all cut paste into the speech, mugged it. Somehow the topic of the speech came as surrender. Okay. It was not planned. Okay, surrender is topic. Now you start preparing it. It's not that. Whatever the balancing effect, okay, or this looks like a surrender talk. So I just named it as surrender. So I told him, Swami, surrender. So he looked very intently at me. Okay, this time he was very serious. He looked intently as if trying to make some changes in the software inside me. But he looked at me that way. And then after that, he just said, go and speak. Go and speak. He nodded like this. So I said, Swami, you will have to speak through. Fortunately, these words were, ringing in my head and I didn't got blanked out. So I just told him, Swami, speak through. So he looked at me, said, he just nodded. He didn't say anything. He just nodded and said, go. So I went and spoke. I'm telling you, as I spoke, or rather as I was standing and listening to my own talk, the speech went through absolutely smoothly without any breaks. I mean, no exceptional breaks or anything. It was absolutely the way intonation, the gaps, the commas. It was like probably the best speech among the 100 practice sessions I could have done. And see, one important point of, I don't know if people normally who are used to speaking, they will know this, that if you are able to read faces of the audience, that means you are actually got a grip on the speech. Because a worried or a scared speaker will always have a blank screen. Because he's all the time memorizing what is the next topic, what is the next thing I need to speak. But in my case, what I was going through in that experience was I was looking at the audience, reading people's faces. Okay, he's probably having a question mark. He's probably trying to look at what is the next one to come. So that kind of gave me the confidence to know you can speak. But the problem or the question mark here was whether I was speaking then. Because a first time speaker can never read a person's faces in front. It was perfect, picture perfect, because it was God who had taken up and he got it done through me. Okay, you may wonder, probably it's a luck or a chance, or maybe you practiced well. See, those are all mental games which we can keep debating about. But the experience per se, when I went through, I realized this is Bhagwan's doing. It's not, I was not capable of reading people's face when you're giving a talk. I am an experienced speaker. Okay, then I understand. But the first time a no-voice speaker, definitely it was Bhagwan who got it done. After the speech got over, I went back to him. He asked me again, where did you come from? Okay, out of the blue, that question. So I said, Bombay. So he just smiled. He didn't give any reaction. I came back to my seat. After then, Bhagwan's discourse happened. Discourse after Swami went inside after the Aarti. And after the discourse happens, generally the speakers are asked to sit outside the interview room. So in case Swami wants to say something to the speakers before he goes back to the Mandir, sitting there, and moment after the Swami just came out of the interview room, he started asking this, where did you come from? Where did you come from? 3-4 times, and looking from there, he was walking and asking these questions as if he was keen to know. So I just told him, Swami, Bombay. I don't know, somehow there was no realization, no head per se to even realize the divine element of that question. So I just said Bombay. And then Swami, what he did very strangely, he put his hand on my head, he pushed my head and said, take Pad Namaskar. So I took Pad Namaskar, Swami went. 10 days later, again, first line when I was sitting there for darshan. Moment he looked at me, where did you come from? Where did you come? I was wondering, he's not leaving this question. I said, Bombay, how many times? Either I'm not right, or maybe he's not able to remember. See, these are mind issues. So I said Bombay. And by that time, in that 10 days, one of our teachers had told me that, when you say Bombay and all, Swami doesn't like that answer. You should say from you. He said, where did you come from? Swami, from you. So, these are typical. So I first, and see, if you're not realize this answer, you end up giving what you know. So I said Bombay. And after this 10 days, when again Swami asked me, where did you come from? I said Bombay. For a few moments, he does it. So he came closer. And that was a fraction of a moment. I said, now I can change my answer. I'd forgotten. I should have said from you. I said Bombay. So I immediately changed my answer as Swami, from you. So he looked at me. He gave us such a mischievous smile and said, wrong answer. And he went away. So I was wondering, from you is what I was told. And now Swami says wrong answer. I came back to hostel. I asked my teacher, who told me that whenever Swami asks you, where did you come from? You should say from you. He said, this problem is you're not realized still. You are still there. You are all the time in a material world. So you're saying Bombay, Bombay, Bombay. Unless you realize, if you realize and say this, Swami will say right answer. You are just parroting what has been told to you. And that's why he said wrong answer. So these are some of the episodes of Bhagavan. They are again a very subtle, light experience, in that it's not a wow experience where, something which you can say that can completely transform my life. There are very many episodes which I'll now, in a few moments, which I'll come down to. But these are the baby steps which God takes in your life to teach certain lessons. So first lesson is what, just to summarize. First is, God does listen to your prayers. Okay, that's the episode of my second birthday which I narrated, that God does listen to your prayers. To anybody who has a question, because we keep receiving these questions that, God doesn't answer my prayer. He does answer our prayers. Even if he's quiet, means he's answering our prayers. And he remembers our prayers more than we remember our prayers. Which was a second episode of the camera roll which I narrated about. I had forgotten, but 10 months hence, he remembered and he gave. So at the right time, he gives. And that's what the second lesson is. Patience is bitter, but fruit is sweet. Okay, I had narrated this same camera roll incident in my second Kulwant Hall talk in front of Swami, and Swami was very delighted. And I told him the same thing. Swami, you taught me this. Patience is bitter, but fruit is sweet. So he just put his, as in joy, he just put his hand on my shoulder. But that is precisely, so patience is bitter, but fruit is sweet. So that's the second lesson. Okay, and obviously the third lesson is, unless we are absorbing Bhagavan's teachings, how much ever we parrot. So when I'm conscious, when I'm talking to you today, I'm also realizing that I can't be parroting just like that. I need to practice. So unless we practice and internalize his teachings, there is no way that we are in a position to satisfy Bhagavan. Okay, and that's what I did. I said, Swami, from you. I parroted, and he said wrong answer, and he walked away. So these are three lessons which we should carry home, that we have to internalize Bhagavan's teachings if you really want to make Bhagavan happy. Okay. So this is my initial phase, and today is what, 8th of May. Okay. Now I'll come to an episode which is exactly happened on 8th of May, 22 years back, year 2000. This was a time when I had completed my BCom honors from Brindavan. I had applied for my master's in finance, or rather master's in business administrations, MBA, which is in Prasanthi Nilayam campus. So I had applied for the entrance. Entrance test had gone well. Written test went well. Group discussions went well. Interview went well. We were waiting for results. And in this period, I had actually not gone back home. After my entrance, I came back to came to Brindavan, because Swami was in Brindavan. And exactly on this day, 8th of May, year 2000, this was a time when Swami was giving thrice sessions. In fact, probably we may be matching the time. It's 5:55. I'm more or less, we are at the same time when this event happened. Okay, so 8th of May, what Bhagavan did, he just came out, and some of you would have seen there's a Jhula room outside the Trai. So he comes and sits there, and boys who are there, he talks to boys. It's a very informal interactions. And holiday time is even better, because just 100 of us are there. Normally you got 300, 400 boys. So it's like 1/4 the strength. 100 of us are sitting around in the Jhula room. And Swami just walked out. And as he walked out, he was pointing at a few people. So I could not hear, but I could see he was pointing at this, he was pointing. I saw him, and then from the central hall, he came and sat on the jhula. He came in a jhula room, and before he could sit on a jhula room, sit on the jhula, he just took a about turn and looked at the boys in front of him. And then he just pointed a finger towards where I was sitting. And I was actually probably on the last line in the jhula room. So way behind. So he just pointed towards the direction where I was sitting. Actually, I was kneeling because of the last row. So I was kneeling and trying to look at him. He pointed and then he said something. So he could make out we didn't hear anything or we didn't understand. So he said, you. This I could hear. Now Swami was raising his voice. You. So when he said you, so I still looked behind and there's nobody behind. And then Swami would have thought, these fellows are useless. They don't understand. I'm telling you. So he says, you spectacle boy. Okay, these are his exact words, because so loudly he said, you spectacle boy. And for a moment, I looked at my neighbor. He was also spectacle boy. I was those days wearing spectacles. So he looked at me and we said, Swami is pointing at you. And then Swami just looked at and, gave a smile, which was kind of not happy with it. You guys didn't realize what I'm talking. And then he spoke to the college principal and everybody laughed. Everybody laughed and everybody, there was a giggle in the crowd. And then Swami sat in the jhula. And then the entire 3 sessions went by. I was very curious to know what happened. When he's saying, you, spectacle boy, either it's about me or about that other boy. So after the session got over, I ran to my principal. And before I could even reach him, from far away, he was saying, Siddharth, you are selected. So I asked him, sir, where am I selected? He said, Swami was talking about you and you're looking at your neighbor. He was again and again saying, you spectacle boy. So he was talking about you. I said, I didn't know, sir, but what did he say? He said he has selected you for MBA. And results were yet to be announced. Okay, this is pre-announcement of result. The chancellor of the university is announcing the results ahead. So the moment he said that you are selected for MBA and the results were yet to be announced. So he said, now you just be relaxed and enjoy because Swami has said he is selected. So I said, fantastic. I mean, it was a great moment for me personally. And I was relaxed. Next day, 9th of May. So this happened on 8th of May, year 2000, exactly on this date, probably exactly at this time or maybe around this time, this event happened in Rai. Okay, 9th of May, that is tomorrow. 9th of May, the results get announced. And what do I see in my results? So there are 2 courses then under management cadre. One is MBA, Master of Business Administration. Second is Masters of Financial Management, MFM. And my name was in Master of Financial Management. I had applied for MBA, I got Masters in Financial Management. So when I looked at, my heart sank because I was not interested in finance. Okay, I was not at all interested in finance. Finance is something like, I would better be away from it. And now I have to do a 2-year full-time course on finance management, which is exactly opposite to my so-called, interest. So my heart sank. I said, what kind of result is this? And see, this is a very important step in our life when it comes, when the mind, in the Hindi say the mind havi ho jata. It's like the mind actually captures you, and then takes you away from the reality. And that moment on 9th of May evening, I went through that motion and then my mind said, it had completely forgotten that Swami is selected previous day. Swami's selection, there's no way that you can argue about it. But 9th of May, mind had forgotten. Mind said, you don't want to do finance. Now you start looking at options. What options? So I didn't know what to do. So I called my parents. I said, this is what happened. Now I don't know. I'm not interested in finance. Swami said he selected me and now he selected me for finance and I'm not interested in finance. What do I do when I can't bear this course for 2 years? So my mother heard me out and my father said, he was more balanced in that sense. He said, if you don't want to do, you come back to Bombay. I started thinking of coming to Bombay. Okay, some of you, if you're around, if I would have made this talk in front of you in person, you would have thrown sticks at me or stones at me or tomatoes at me and I would have welcomed it because I was an idiot in that episode. I started thinking that I will come back to Bombay. Mind you, 24 hours back, Swami is telling me you're selected. 24 hours later, the mind is such influence on me that is telling me to think of coming to Bombay. That was 9th of May evening. I was internally, my conscience was not happy. It's always a conflict between mind and heart. Heart is saying, God selected you. There's no way that you can go back. Better you die, but you don't go back. Mind is saying, nothing doing. You cannot bear this. Finance is not your subject. You are not competent. You have to go back. Okay. I'm narrating this little more detail because again, there are very critical lessons in this episode. Many times in our lives, things happen to us which we don't like. Okay, but there is a master plan behind it. How that master plan will reveal, I will just share with you. Okay, so this event happened 9th of May. I went back to sleep. I couldn't sleep that night because what should I do? Yes or no? Yes or no? Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I no? It's such a terrible dilemma because on one side, God is there, other side, world is there. And this dilemma will always come in our life. Choose God or the world. Okay, so this happened 9th of May. I couldn't sleep. 10th, somehow I managed to go for darshan. Darshan, normal, Swami takes a round and goes back. Evening, he called for Trai session, 9th of May. Obviously, there are very few boys, so I could get a chance almost after the Jula, maybe 2nd or 3rd at best. Just very close. I mean, this close to Swami. Or maybe this close to Swami, if you're able to see the video. This close to Swami. So very close. And I was sitting right there. And generally what happens, when he comes in Trai session, he will say, what Amy Samacharam, he will ask. He'll ask few VIPs, he'll ask some students, he'll crack some jokes, and then settle down. And then he will generally tell people to give a talk. So there are many teachers who would get up and share experiences, some talk or some things here and there. That day he was very serious. He straight away came, no jokes, no asking Samacharam whatsoever. He straight away came and sat on the Jula. He called for a mic. Okay, he called for a mic. Moment he called for a mic, he would have spoken at least 1 hour, maybe more, but at least 1 hour. Straight discourse. There's no padyam or anything. It is like, as if he has come with a danda to hit me. Because entire discourse, he was looking into my eyes because I was this close to him. Entire discourse, he looked into my eyes and he was narrating a very, very, very important message, drilling into my head in a different forms and different ways. The entire discourse was about it. What was that lesson? I will tell you in a few seconds, but I would suggest everybody to keep this in mind. You may forget everything else, but this is a lesson not for Siddarth, but it's a lesson for the entire Sai family. Okay, what lesson he gave was, and always, all divine masters, avatars, gurus, they have very beautiful knack of teaching a lesson through analogies or examples. So he chose a very beautiful example and he said, there is a train journey. Okay, there is a train journey. I'm trying to emulate as the way Swami spoke on that day. There is a train journey. In a train, there is a father. Okay, there is a father and there are few children. The children are small. Children are small. So who will buy the ticket? Father will buy the ticket. This is Swami's style of speaking, rhetorical questions. He will ask a question and answer himself. Who will buy the ticket? Father will buy the ticket. Children are small. So will the father give the ticket to children? No, he will keep with himself. Now what happens in the train journey? One child thinks that he wants to get down. The station comes and he plans to get down. Once he gets down, what will happen to him? There's a pause in between. And then he says, the child has got down. There is no ticket with him. Ticket is with the father. The child is left alone on the platform. Then what will happen to him? He'll be not only left alone, but the TC will come and ask him, where is your ticket? You don't have a ticket. Then what happens? That all of you know, he may go behind the bars, or he may be punished, or a lot of issues can happen. And he'll be eventually lost because the train has gone, father has gone, his all siblings have gone, he's left alone on the platform. So what a child should do? Again, there is a pause. Child should not get down from the train because his ticket is with his father. You should always travel with your father. He has your ticket. He knows what is good for you. He will always protect you. Always remember this. So don't get down from the train. Have faith in Father. He has your ticket. He will take you through the journey. This is the crux of the entire 1 hour discourse. Okay. And different ways he was drilling the same message in different forms, so that somebody like an idiot like me who's sitting there, who has all kinds of question marks, can head this into this head properly. Why it was meant for me, this is, I think all of us have understood the message, right? Very clear message. Entire discourse, he was looking into my eyes and telling, I'm telling you, all of you Sai family members, I was in tears. Throughout 1 hour, I cried and cried in front of him because he knew my problem. Nobody has told him. He knows the problem. As I said, mind readers are many, heart reader is one. He understood my heart. He was answering those questions, that dilemma, so-called dilemma, which is actually not a dilemma, but a dilemma created by our fickle mind. And he's straight away answering the dilemma, clearly saying that just be with me and don't get down, because your ticket is with me. Why this message is so mission critical for each one of us, the entire Sai family across the world, is when we are into his fold, let's be 100% be sure that none of us can come into his fold without his choice. Each one of us has been handpicked by him to be in his fold. There are 7 billion people on earth, right? Not everybody is in Swami's fold. If you actually do calculation, it will be hardly maybe 4-5%, or maybe 5% also is optimistic, because not millions, not billions. 7 billion may say there are few millions who are under his fold. So he has handpicked all of us to be under his fold, which is where a father having the ticket for all the million children which is carrying in the train. If any of us plan to get down thinking that probably I'm better off because I'm not happy with this father, maybe some other father, some other place, there is a chance that we may lose. We don't know what will happen to us. Give a deep thought to this, because this is a message of our life. Everything else we may forget. But rest assured, moment God has handpicked us and we have a God's presence in our life, that's the best thing to happen to us. In fact, one of our Parthi professors used to tell us, the greatest thing that has happened to the Sai devotees is that we have found God in life. Vivekananda was definitely far higher level of consciousness he lived his life with, was hankering everywhere to ask, have you seen God? Have you seen God? In today's world, if he asks us, all of us would say, yes, I have seen God. Isn't it? All of us have seen God. We have seen his presence in our life. We have seen his miracles. He's beyond comprehension. How much ever we try to understand him is beyond. That's why many times Swami used to tell us, you can never know me, who am I? Just enjoy my presence, enjoy my glory. Because who am I? My entire glory is actually beyond your comprehension. Your mind cannot fathom. So such a God we have got in our life. And he was giving that message on 9th of May. And obviously, after that entire try session, I came back. I called my parents again. And I said, I think whatever is there is there. This is the entire message of today. Swami has straight took head on, what question I had in my mind. He has selected me. He said my ticket is with him. I am now not worried whether I pass or I fail, whether I don't like finance. It is up to him. He has taken charge. So I'm going to stay back. I'm not going to go. That was the conclusion on 9th of May after this discourse. In fact, again, one of the very important messages of Swami that comes to my mind is, he used to always say that you may leave me and go, but I will never leave you. I don't know if you have read this, if you have heard this, but many, many times I've heard this from Swami's mouth. You may leave me and go, but I will never leave you. And this is precisely Bhagawan's message for all of us, that come what may, we may choose many other things above him, but he will never leave us. He will continue to hope that someday this child of mine will come. Again, a very, very powerful quality of patience. Patience not about us, but patience of the Sai Ma, whom we call as 1,000 mothers love. 1,000 mothers is again, because our mind is limited. That's why we say 1,000 mothers. Actually, it's unlimited mothers love. Okay, and that's why he has to show that patience that someday, if not this birth, next birth, if not next birth, 10 births later, I'll keep waiting till you come back to me. Because end of the day, your ticket is in my hands. So this is something which was a major episode. And when first time when I got to know that today we'll get a chance to connect with each other on this session, the first thought was this: 8th of May 2000, 22 years back this happened, and it was a very, very powerful message which only Bhagawan can kind of drive home into us. So this is one episode, and there are, again, I'm jumping the number of years in between because his glory is so vast and it's beyond comprehension that we can keep talking about it again and again and again. There are various facets of this Saima which is there in our life. Maybe I'll take a pause and refer to another important aspect for all of us. So I think as Uncle introduced in the beginning about Samarpan sessions, I still remember, Nimesh Pandey uncle, all of us know him, he's All India President. One day he asked me that you have completed 50 Samarpan sessions. So what is one lesson you learned from this? Okay, I'm consciously taking his name because very important, again, a point that because of his question, it tickled into my head that, what is the summary of a 50 Samarpan session? Now we have crossed 100, but 50 Samarpan sessions. He asked this question: what have you, one lesson that you have learned? And I thank him for this question because after that, my entire perspective changed. And I just told him, if at all one thought that comes to my mind is, Satya Sai Baba can do anything. Satya Sai Baba can do anything. That's a one-line summary of all the Samarpan sessions. We would have heard from very many people different facets of God. Somebody's life, cancer got cancelled, somebody's job came back, somebody's salary got increased, somebody who didn't have children got children, somebody who was to pass away came back to life, somebody who was on a wheelchair started walking. And above all, the same God can manifest at 100 places in his own inimitable style. I mean, a powerful personality of this kind. I mean, if he's around in our life, he can do anything. We don't have to go anywhere to ask. We just look at him and say, boss, can you help me? And he, as we said, he will answer our prayers. He remembers our prayers. We may not remember. He remembers our prayers. And he will answer at the right time when he chooses best. That faith we must have. That is a simple price that we need to pay. If at all I use this statement, that price to pay to have that God in our life is a very simple price, is just have faith and love. And Swami has said so many times, right? Have faith and love, and rest I will do. Because he only does, actually, we don't do anything. He only does everything. He manipulates the situation, gets certain things for us so that we rise up in our life at different points in time. But that simple price that we need to pay, which is actually very, very easy, is faith and love. And that's why all of us, we have got a Kalpavriksha in our life, like Sai Baba, who can do anything in the world. Who can do anything in the world, anywhere, any life, any time and space. He can do anything for us. And we have somebody like him. I think we are extremely blessed. I think way beyond blessed is a small word. We are way beyond blessed to have him in our lives. Okay. And so one episode that comes to my mind is, now since we are talking about he can be anywhere, everywhere, and he can do anything and everything, is one episode post Mahasamadhi. So a lot of us, ask, 2011 is Sai Baba completed, his avatar road the shop is closed, everything is over, nothing else exists. No, it is not. In fact, the entire so-called Sai Baba concept has expanded so multifold that one thing I can again leave you guys with is, he can appear anywhere, anytime, in all kinds of forms in this era. Earlier, our mind was satisfied that if you want to be with Swami, go to Puttaparthi, 5 feet 3 inch form is sitting there. After that, Swami is there, I'm here, I'm little safe. I can think whatever I want. That's a mind, right? But today's world, you never know. He may be sitting next to you and listening to your talk, or listening to your thoughts, listening to your prayers. And he may come in a different forms. Okay. Let me narrate another episode, because this is not just philosophy, but actual reality. Why it is so? Let me narrate. Just give me a moment. I'll take a sip of water. Okay, that also is a reminder if anybody is sleeping. So coming to this topic, Some of you would have probably heard because I narrated at different places this episode. But it's worth mentioning because it's important to keep drilling into our head that, the same God can do anything, anywhere, at any points in time, because he's beyond time and space. So 2011, all of us felt Satya Sai Baba Avatar is ended, and very tough time, not easy. For 3, 4 years, 5 years, it took time for people to think that something of that kind of happened. But year 2060, year 2060, that is 5 years post Mahasamadhi. This was somewhere in November, I can even say November 7th, 8th, 2016 was a time when my company told me to go for a conference to Prague. Prague is the capital of Czech Republic, Eastern European country, for those who may not know. So I was traveling all alone, first time into that country. I was told that it's a country which doesn't speak English, has non-veg as the main food. You'll rarely find a veg food. All streets of the city is same. Okay, where is a question of sleep? Yes, thank you. So that coming back to, sorry, just my mind slipped by. So a country where all the by-lanes are same. So people said, you better be careful and, get your things ready, carry some food with you, because being a pure vegetarian, how will you survive in a non-veg country? So I said the best way is, Sai devotees are everywhere. Okay, Sai Samithis are everywhere. So I did Google search and I said, okay, there is some email ID given for that country, but that country and Sai devotees must be around. So I used that email ID and I dropped a message saying that I'm so-and-so coming from Mumbai for a conference for 4 days, actually 3 days. And if possible, if we can meet up. So it's always very comforting to meet another Sai devotee in an unknown country. But incidentally, no response came. And my time came to travel. So I took a flight, came to Prague, and it was November. So obviously it was very, very cold. And there was hailstorm, then it was raining, and it was extremely cold. And the city that country is 4.5 hours behind India time. So by the time I reached that place, this was Sunday evening. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was 3 days, exactly like this Sunday evening. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days was the time when I was to be in the conference in that city. Thursday was my return flight to Bombay. Monday was the half day work. Second half was free for me. Tuesday, Wednesday, we had a full day workshop. I mean, it's a conference and workshops and all that. So I just thought that if at all in 3 days time, if I can see anything in the city, it will be Monday afternoon. That's only half day slot I've got. Again, I didn't know anybody in that city. So Monday night when I went to sleep, okay, this was at 7:30 in the evening, because by the time it was 12 midnight in India. So it was 4.5 hours behind. So I didn't have even that time to have jet lag kind of correction and all that. So I slept at 7:30, but before I went to sleep, I prayed to Bhagawan. I said, see Swami, 3 days I'm here. I don't know anybody in this country. I want to see something, some good places, some memories of this place, than going into the conference room for full day and then coming back. So half day is there tomorrow. If something can be done for tomorrow, I can see the place around and then come back. That will be some good memories of the city. But since I don't know anybody, I didn't receive any message to my email. The only person I know in this country is you. Right? You are Sarvatra, all omnipresence, all pervasive divinity. Definitely you must be in Prague also. The only person whom I know in this country is you. So it's your problem, your responsibility now to take care of me. Okay. So with this prayer, I went to sleep. Next morning, I get up, I go to my conference, everything goes well. By 12:30, I'm back to my hotel. Nobody knew English, so very difficult to communicate. Fortunately, in that hotel, there's one guy who knew broken English. So I just told him that, now I'm back to hotel, I got time till evening. How should I see the city around? He said, look for yellow umbrella. These two words, yellow umbrella. So I said, yellow umbrella, do I need to buy? Do I need to search? What am I supposed, or go for a shop? He said, no, yellow umbrella. So he still couldn't complete the statement. But I came out, I said, okay, let's try and see what that yellow umbrella is. I started walking. I was very conscious because I have to come back alone, right? Otherwise I'll be lost. So which shop is which side, because all lanes are same. So I was walking on that street and finally I came to a large place. On one corner, I could trace a yellow umbrella. So I said, this is something familiar. So I ran behind that person. And that person obviously was a guide. So I think some of you may know that, European countries have 2-hour walking free tour. They try to show things around. So this guy was standing, and their mark of identification is a yellow umbrella. And yellow umbrella is a huge one. It's not our rainy umbrella, to protect. It's just a symbol. So it's a identification. So large yellow umbrella was there. He was standing below, and there are a few people surrounding him. So I went and joined and immediately welcomed. And he obviously knew English very well because he was a guide. So he said, welcome, welcome. We have just started. Now I'll tell you the history of this place, and then we'll take you across and all that. So I said, thank you. I was listening to him. Maybe a minute or so, one person walks in and stands next to me. Okay. Now he looked like an Indian. So because features, everything looked to be an Indian, not some European or somebody. So I looked at him, he looked at me, and we smiled at each other, and we continued to listen to this person. So as this guy was telling the story of this place and history and everything, and he said, let's now go towards the other side. I'll show you something else. So we walked. As we walked, he approached me. He said, are you from India? So I said, yes, I'm from India. So I asked him, are you from India? So he said, yes, I'm also from India. So I said, chalo, there's some familiarity now. So I said, which city or which part of India? He said, Bombay. And I was like, who is it? So I said, even I'm from Mumbai. So then we asked him, I asked him, which part of Mumbai? So some of you may are familiar with Mumbai, they will know this. So he said, Malad, which is not very far away from Borivali Samiti where I'm staying. So I told him I'm from Borivali. He said, oh, it's so close. So we got little comfortable with each other. We developed the rapport, and the 2 hours tour was going on. At the end of 2 hours tour, he approached me. He said, see, I'm alone. I want to watch this place. So we have got some time to go. I guess you are also alone. I said, yes, I'm also alone. So he said, let's walk together and let's see the place around. Because the 2 hour tour was over and the guy was just thanking everybody and going away. So I said, see, you are from Bombay, I'm from Bombay, and I'm assuming my struggles are same as yours. Because yeah, all lanes, by lanes are same. Nobody knows English, and it's all non-veg food, and how we are going to kind of see and who will guide us. So he said, that you don't worry, because I have come from Spain and I've lived in Spain. So I'm familiar with the European places and all that. So I know all that things. So you don't worry. I said, fine, if you're confident, let's go. Internally, I was praying that I hope I'm in the right hands. It should not happen that he takes me somewhere and then drops me and I'll have a trouble. But very nicely took me across. We went, we saw King's Palace and a lot of other things. Beautifully showed me everything. And probably knew the, some areas which probably I wouldn't have known. So he took me to different places. He said, these are the nice place to have good chips. Or this is where you can have a nice, pasta and something else. He was, all kinds of things he was showing me as if he knew the place very well. After that thing got over somewhere around 7:38, we were coming back. And he said, what's your dinner plan? I said, I don't have now. I'll go back to my hotel and have, or he said, let's have dinner together and then go off. I said, fine, since we spend the entire afternoon together, we'll have. By the time I had got a confidence that this guy is not a freak somewhere, but he's a genuine person. And he said, let's go to this restaurant. And incidentally, that restaurant was a pure veg, which completely perplexed me. So it was a pure veg in a non-veg country is a rare, and quite a few crowd. It's not, it was empty. So it was a surprise to me, but we had almost pizza and some pasta together there. That's the food they normally have. So we had that, and then finally he asked me, where do you stay? So I showed him, one of these lanes. I know there's a shop there and that's a landmark, and from there I had to take a turn. So he said, I'll drop you. So he came with me, dropped me to my place. And while going back, I asked him that, what's your plan for tomorrow? Since I'm here for 2 days, if possible, late evening, we can catch up for dinner or something, since there's a familiarity now. He said, no, I came only for today because tomorrow I have to go back to Spain. So I will not be there tomorrow. So you can carry on. And but nice meeting you. We exchanged the phone numbers and he went. I came back to my room. I had no idea whatsoever that something extraordinary had happened. Okay, some of you would have already smartly understood what I was narrating the entire story. But, Maya is such around God. He doesn't want you to realize till it's all over, until he has gone from the scene. So I sat, and then it hit me from nowhere. I said, who was this boy? Okay, he knew the place. Okay, as I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps again. Who was this boy? From where he came? He came from Spain. Spain is 3,000 miles away. For one afternoon, which no fool will do. He will always, anybody who wants to come to Prague will at least spend 2-3 days, 4 days to make it worthwhile to travel so much. So he came for half a day event. He took me to a veg restaurant, which is rare in this country. He knew the lanes by lanes. He took me to some special areas which he knew and dropped me back to my place. So I didn't have to worry to find my location also. Okay. Now, as I was absorbing this incident, I said, let me call him, because we exchanged numbers. Let me call him. There was no answer to that phone. I don't know. I'm not claiming here that was Swami who came in that form and took care. I don't know. Whether Swami sent somebody, probably. Swami came in that form, probably. Swami got it done through somebody, probably. But for me personally, if you ask me, it's immaterial. The fact of the matter, or the lesson here for all of us is, if you have complete faith in him, and you say he's the only person whom you know in that country, he'll get it done for us. And that's why, and this is post Mahasamadhi. So anybody who has a question, does Sai Baba exist? Does he listen to my prayer? Where has he gone? He's nowhere. He's everywhere. He listens to us. He's right now listening to this talk also. And I'm sure some messages will come eventually. How was it? But, he's all pervasive. Okay. He listens to our prayers. He listens to our thoughts. Okay. He is extremely active these days. Extremely active. We have to be worried, because when he will pop from where and then say, "Hey, you are here, I saw you." And there are very many episodes like that, where from nowhere he will, he plays hide and seek these days. He will suddenly come in front of you in different form, and you will know that he's a Swami. Okay. There are many, many such episodes. I'm hitting 6:30 now. So I probably will have to stop. But one important lesson for us again from this episode before we go home or we log off is this, that Bhagawan does exist. He's more active than in the past. He's listening to our prayers, listening to our thoughts all the time. And see, he's beyond limitation. Limit we set to him, but he's beyond limitation. So only thing that he is asking us all the time is to have faith and prayer, faith and love, implicit love for him, because he does so much for us. I think probably the only person who loves us madly is God himself, nobody else. And the closest to that God is Mother, isn't it? Closest to that God who is madly in love with his children is Mother. And that's why there's no better day than, again, coming back to Mother's Day, that we're talking about a universal mother who is in madly in love with his children. He cannot see a single thing happening to his children. So when certain people ask this question that, I'm going through a hurt, I'm going through pain, I'm going through problems in my life, why does Bhagawan doesn't do anything about it? Probably he's doing a lot to it to reduce the pain. So what we are actually experiencing is a 1/10 of it. Okay, 1/10 of it. Had he wouldn't have been there, we would have been blown away. So 1/10 of it is something which we are experiencing because of his presence. And because no mother, I think all the mothers on the call will know this, no mother is happy to see the child going through the pain. And for that matter, even father. Which father will be happy and clapping, oh, he's going through pain, very nice, I will enjoy this. No mother or no father will, see his or her child go through the pain. Since he's keeping a watchful eye on all of us through all these episodes which we discussed today, he's very much aware that what problems we face, what difficulties we go through, is very much aware. But he is doing his own job in a different way to reduce the pain. Okay, one last lesson probably. It's 6:30, maybe 4-5 minutes, and then I'll stop if you're okay. Because, I had not planned this, but it is coming to my head, so I'll just speak it out. Maybe it is Swami's prompting. That a lot of people do ask, and this episode actually happened with some students who were sitting around Bhagawan and asked this question to Swami in the interview room that, Swami, does grace take away the pain of karma? Does grace wipes out our karmas? Swami said no. So then, I mean, the boys, typical boys they are. Then Swami, what is the point? What is the use of having your grace if it doesn't take away my karma? Boys were very free with Swami. It's again mother and child. You can ask anything to the mother. And mother is benevolent as always. So he said, and again, a divine master. So he will explain through an analogy. So he said very clearly, he said, see, suppose, imagine one karma is equal to 1 rupee coin or 1 Singapore dollar, if I understand correctly. Okay, just assume 1 coin is equal to 1 karma. So you have done 100 karmas, you got 100 coins in your bag. Now you are carrying that in your life, walking, all that. It's heavy because 100 coins you're carrying. Now you come at a lotus feet of God. And God says, okay, my child, you have a lot of devotion towards me. So I'll shower my grace on you. Now, what is that grace? Swami says. He says, what God does do, he says, give me your bag full of 100 coins, the burden that you're carrying. In exchange, I'll give you a 100 rupee note. So, you see, karmas are not negated. 100 karmas, 100 coins, 100 karmas, 1 note, which is much lighter. So Swami was explaining this in that interview room, that your karmas are not negated, but the grace is taking away the pain of karma. You're done. You have to go through the problems. All of us have to go through our difficulties of life, which we can't escape. But having the presence of God in our life makes life much easier, because a 100 rupee note is much easier to carry than 100 coins on a bag. So that's where, when we have such a powerful personality in our life, probably the most powerful entity. In fact, Anandamayi Ma, I don't know how many people know, Anandamayi Ma was one of the very famous saints of India from Calcutta, and one of her disciples asked her, who is Satya Sai Baba? And she refused to answer till the last moment. And finally, this devotee or disciple of hers, was not relenting. And she said, okay, since you have been asking for so many years, I will answer only once and I will not answer anymore. And she says this, Bhagawan Shri Satya Sai Baba is the most powerful incarnation of God to walk on earth. And such a powerful incarnation will not walk again for 60 centuries. These are her words. I'm just quoting as it is. So she would have spoken in Hindi or in Bengali, because she was a Bengali from Calcutta. But the translation is this. So 60 centuries is like 6,000 years. Okay. In her statement, this could be thousands of years, but 6,000 years at least. So you can imagine what we have. It's not what we had, what we have in our life. We still have. I mean, isn't this the most blessed life in our all the lives that we have led? If we don't say this is the golden age, then what golden age we are waiting for? The goldenest age of all the golden ages is this moment, when Bhagavan is right with us, listening to us, talking to us, taking care of us, feeding us, everything is doing for us. And probably that's why we are the most blessed people to have got this opportunity to think about him, to listen about him, to speak about him and his message on this very, very, very auspicious, holy moment of Mother's Day on this Sunday evening. So with this, let's offer a gratitude to Bhagavan for so much he does and so much he's doing, that we remain worthy children of his to that Mother Sai and continue to enjoy his grace always. Sai Ram. Over to you. I think you're speaking on mute, Uncle.
Sai Ram, Siddharth. In fact, there is a purpose for which Swami has muted, because I am speechless. No words to express the way Swami has sent you today as an angel instrument messenger for all of us, because each word, each sentence you spoke, what Swami spoke through you, is an absolute injection, a tonic for us, and it is absolutely rejuvenating, absolutely rejuvenating. On this Mother's Day, when you really talked about Vatsalya, I was very inquisitive to know the exact meaning of Vatsalya. The dictionary reads, the love shared by mother cow on newly born calf is Vatsalya. So that is the kind of love that Swami had for all of you, the students, they were his prized possessions and he would never leave them. So when he said, Swami, my students are my property, that's the way he used to say with a lot of pride. And I can see that reflection in you, Siddharth, when you spoke about each of the incidents that you have narrated with a strong essence punch in each of those. I would just like to summarize in a few lines and then we'll end up with Samastaloka.
Just one thing, sorry to intervene.
Yeah.
It's not about just students, because all of us are we are all calves to that same mother. So
very true.
All of us, it's not just students. Students are just, some experience or some, kind of instrument which we use, but end of the day, all of us are in the same fold of the Sai mother. So it is for all of us, not for individuals or one community.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. When Swami says that wherever my glory is sung, that is Prasanthi Nilayam, means what? Whenever you think of him, he is there with all of us, and you don't have to look around. It is an indweller. It is within you. I absolutely agree with you. In fact, some of the key takeaways that I really wanted to, summarize. When you rightly said in the 1996 speech, when you face the world, it is fraught with trouble and lot of troubles. But when you see Swami beside you and when you face the world, all those troubles really dissipate because Swami takes over. So that is the grace of Bhagawan. And then the ride is very easy because you really put a beautiful equation. Man alone may flounder, but man plus God is always victory. So you have a Sarthi in your lives, that's Bhagawan, who is always there with you. So why you worry? Absolutely, you don't have to worry. You just have to surrender unconditionally. One episode that you talked about when God listens to your prayers, absolutely ringing in our minds, and we'll never forget it. God remembers, and his timing is always perfect. The camera roll thing, absolutely amazing. He doesn't look at you and just throws it like this and it lands on your lap. And he could have given it the previous year also. But for this to etch in your memory and a lesson for your life, which you could latch on, is something what Swami wanted you to do that. And it's a lesson for all of us also. Because, as you rightly said, and as Swami says, patience is bitter and fruit is sweet. What a wonderful takeaway for all of us. And very rightly you also said, unless you're absorbing Swami's teachings and practicing, parroting is of no use. So unity of words, thoughts and actions that Swami always says, that is extremely important. That's extremely important. The episode about Swami directly looking at your face and speaking for 1 hour, which really drilled into your mind, don't get down from your train because your father is always there. So when a God is besides you, leave it to him absolutely and repose full confidence. He will take care. And that was really a game changer in your life, because when you are bestowed with MBA finance, you could see how your life has moved thereon. It's just a reflection of Swami has planted he has decided what is good for you so many years ago, and now you are able to realize. Very nicely you have put, mind readers are many, but heart reader is only one, God. And that is our lovely Swami, absolutely. Is bewitching Swami with that smile always with all of us. And the story of, Prague is simply amazing because it really gave me a lot of goosebumps, because no wonder Swami was there with you, because you went with that prayer that I don't know anybody here, but Swami, you are there, you are omnipresent. And that one singular faith made Swami come to you and show around Prague. And you are such a lucky guy, we are very fortunate to be a recipient of this nectarine experience sharing. I would rather put it as Brother Siddharth Bhat Part 1 Sai Geetam series, because I think we'll have 5, 6, 10 episodes going on now in a frequency which we would request you to, allocate time for this satsang whenever it's convenient to you, because you have got a bhandar of all this, and this kind of tonic is needed for all of us, to again get seathed in Swami's glory and love. Thank you so much, Siddharth Bhaiya, and you are doing really a marvelous job. What I like the most about is you never have a castor oil face. You have such a smiling face, which is an an insignia of a Swami's student. I would say Swami's instrument, I would put it rather, because whoever puts that smile on his face and thinks about Swami is Swami's student. I would rephrase after what you told me. So thank you so much for your lovely satsang. And we will end up with 3 Samasta Lokas. Satya, you would like to share something before we close?
No, just our heartfelt gratitude to Bhagawan and Brother Siddharth. As you rightly mentioned, Swami has the ticket. This Sai Govind Satsang is one where I think he holds the ticket, because we have no idea who our speakers are going to be on any day. Right? Till last night, we didn't know who was going to be there today. He sent us today. We don't know who's there next week. We have nobody actually. But like you mentioned, like you were in Prague, here we are in Sai Govind. We have told Swami, you are there, Swami, so you will take care. Right? So it's been so blissful. And the same thing, the message came through you again today. And what a selection also, right? Swami puts you to share what exactly happened on the same dates several years back. There is nothing but Swami in this, Brother Siddharth. We are very eagerly looking forward to several more sessions. Please do come back as soon as possible. It could be even from next week onwards. So thank you, Swami, once again. And we look forward to next week. Sai Ram, Brother Srinivas.
समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Can I request everyone